Good evening, everyone. The meeting will come to order. This is a meeting of the Select Board on March 24th at 6:15. We have posted for the open meeting law conformity to 3 different places around town.
Correct.
We have done it onto our website, and we have emailed it to lots and lots of interested parties around town. So we do have a legal meeting. So we can proceed with the first thing on our agenda is prior meeting minutes. We have 3 sets. So the first one is the annual town meeting, which has lots and lots of minutes to it. I have read it over, except for a couple typos. I think, this doesn't even have typos on it. I found it all to be in order and accurate. I move that we approve the annual town meeting minutes from March 3rd, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is also up on our website. The next set of meeting minutes is a special select board meeting that took place on March 6th. The reason for this meeting was to opening the request for proposals for a construction manager for the high school repurposing project. There were 2 received, and we opened the bids. We did not award them at that time, but we did state what the bids were: $242,460 plus $10,000 for pre-construction from a corporation called Opus, and then the other one was Naylor and Breen Builders out of Brandon for $433,800 plus $22,200 for pre-construction. These were, each company was interviewed after that, and it was reviewed. I move that we accept these minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
On March 17th, we had a special select board meeting, and that one was for actually awarding the bid after the vetting process was done with the 2 applicants. It was awarded to Opus, and basically what we awarded at that time was just the pre-construction management services of $10,000. I move that we accept the minutes of this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me, Pat.
Yes, ma'am.
On the agenda that I got sent to me, there's also a date for a March 10th meeting.
I got that right in front of me next.
Oh, that's next on your list. I'm sorry, because you said
it is.
March 17th, and I'm sorry, I thought I'd skipped it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's just the way we shuffled the papers around.
Sorry.
Select board meeting minutes from March 10th. This was a regular select board meeting, our last one that we had. I have read over the minutes. This one, I think, except for a couple typos, I found all in order. It was the one where we also did the appointments. So I move that we accept these meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And that takes care of that. We are now up to date on that. Fell a little behind. Number 2 on our new business agenda is some conversation we're going to have with Eric Alling about Bethel Mountain Sidewalk Project. I would like to learn about this along with everyone else. Eric, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Rita, do you want to do a quick project introduction, or do you want me to just jump right into it?
I can, if you'd like. Yeah, I'll introduce you. Hi everyone, Rita Cito with the Two Rivers Ottaquechee Regional Planning Commission. We're here to talk about the Safe Fritz's School project scope that I worked with Pat to apply on behalf of the town. And so I think a few years ago there was a very specific pot of money kind of left over from the federal Safe for School program with the Agency of Transportation. And so Rochester was one of the few eligible towns because they have a designated safe for school school. And so working with Pat, the scope that we applied for was to improve the sidewalk that is along Bethel Mountain Road, basically from School Street to Brook Street, and to also include the rectangular rapid flashing beacon pedestrian activated signals for the crosswalk by the school. So that was kind of the project scope. It's been a while with VTrans kind of awarding the grant and had some staff turnover there, but Eric is from Stantec. They are the consultant that had been hired through VTrans to kind of help do the design and all that stuff. So he is here to kind of present sort of the final proposal. The project is moving forward. So without taking any more of Eric's, time, I'll pass it over to him to present.
Yeah, thanks, Rita. You covered most of it. So yeah, this will be pretty quick. Just an update here. First of all, can everybody see my screen?
No, but that's okay. We've got it on recording, so.
Oh, okay. Well,
I see it.
You can see it, so
I
people
can
at
see
home
it.
can maybe see it. Okay,
Yes.
I can see a picture of Bethel Mountain Road fading.
that's exactly right. Yep, that's perfect. Yep. Okay, so let me jump into it. So Rita pretty much introduced the project team already, but it's her and Kristen representing the town. I've got a project manager at Stantec, Chris Gendron, and myself working on the design. And then our VTrans contact is Derek Kennison. I mentioned it'll be brief, but this is what we'll cover tonight. We'll look at the typical project development process. We will review the two project areas, look at some of the existing conditions and the proposed designs, and then talk about what comes after tonight. So as Rita mentioned, this was part of a statewide spot improvements project. Rochester, along with 5 other municipalities, were awarded grant funding based on that pot of money that Rita discussed. And for Rochester, it's that mid-block crosswalk across Vermont Route 100 and the sidewalk rebuild on Bethel Mountain Road. So this is how projects typically develop. There's usually a project definition phase where scoping studies are done and impacts are identified. But because this is considered more of a maintenance project without any major construction, VTrans skipped past that part and went right into funding and engineering. And we are most of the way through the design process, which will just leave construction at the end of that. So the first site you can see here is the existing mid-block crosswalk across Route 100. Some information about the roadway is the speed limit's 30 through here. About 2,460 vehicles a day travel through. The elementary school is very close, and the crosswalk is already there today, so no major changes there. And what we're proposing is to just remove those existing signs and replace them with those rectangular rapid flashing beacons that are activated by a push button. So it just has those rapid flashing yellow lights that help alert motorists that somebody's trying to cross at the crosswalk. And I'm sure everybody's familiar with them. They're quite common now, but I've got a picture here to show just that. And then the push buttons are right on the posts. And again, it just highlights that somebody's trying to cross the intersection, making it a little bit safer for pedestrians. That's the only change at this location. The next location is the existing sidewalk along Bethel Mountain Road. As you can see from this image, and if you've walked on it, it's not in great shape. It's got some unevenness to it, some chipped away areas, and some gaps that could be tripping hazards. And it's also not wide enough. It's only 4 feet instead of the recommended 5. So for Bethel Mountain Road, it's also 30 miles an hour, just under 1,400 vehicles a day. The town's right-of-way is 49.5 feet wide, or 3 rods. And we can look at the plan.
in front, in the lower village. is-
Right, Eric, the speed limit right in that section is 25,
Okay, okay.
just a note.
Thank you for catching that. And I can make this bigger so we don't have to squint to see it.
Eric, could I get you to share this slide deck with me so I can pass it on to those
Absolutely.
that are interested? Thanks.
Okay, so we'll just start at the intersection with School Street. The existing sidewalk ends about 100 feet back, so the sidewalk gets extended and rounds the corner a little bit to line up with the existing sidewalk on the other side of the street. And then it continues easterly. The back edge of the sidewalk is going to stay the same, so it's not going to get any closer to the properties. It'll just come out into the road a little bit more. You can see the green area here. It's sort of the construction. The green area here is the construction impact, so that'll just be area that's excavated and turned back into grass at the end of construction. We can see the right-of-way lines here in this drawing of these pink lines, so the project is completely within the town's right-of-way. And it's just a standard 5-foot concrete curb, 5-foot concrete sidewalk with a curb. And it stays that way up until there's one utility pole here and the sidewalk gets narrowed just a little bit to not have to impact and relocate that. And then it ends right where it does today at Brook Street. The only other notable thing is that because we're adding curb, it's going to concentrate stormwater. So we're going to add some drainage structures that will outlet into the existing system. We're not anticipating any impacts to existing trees or landscaping. We ran our design model through and the sidewalk is going to fit in very nicely. And it won't look much different than today, except it'll be a little bit wider and newer and free of those tripping hazards. So the remaining schedule on this project, we are nearly done final plans. So those will get submitted to V-Trans towards the end of this month or early in April. And then that means we can go forward with contract plans and specifications, which should be in May. Bidding for this project will be May and June, and the contractor will be able to get started shortly after. And we're hopeful that the project will be complete by the fall of this summer. That's it. Like I said, I would keep it quick, but I would be happy to answer any questions. Go back and look at any of those slides. If anybody has any concerns or questions, I'm happy to answer.
I'd also like to add, sorry. I'd also like to add that the funding is 100% federal funding or state funding, sorry. So there is no match from the town. It's all 100% paid for.
Yeah, thanks, Rita.
Yeah.
Our road foreman has a question.
How much are you gonna narrow the road? That's very tight through there now.
1 foot at the point where we narrow it the most, it'll get 1 foot narrower. And it's not consistent, but it's
You
maximum
can't
of
meet a
1
car
foot
there
narrower.
now plowing, even with the wing up. Take another foot away, we'll have insurance claims.
That is our highway foreman talking.
Okay. Yeah, understood the concerns. There's just no way to push the sidewalk towards those properties. That would likely trigger a full V-Trans environmental review, including historic. So that would make this a much more complicated project and would likely add 3 to 3 years to the process. So with this maintenance project, that's what we can do is leave that back edge where it is.
I think you're moving the hazard. You're moving a hazard from the sidewalk into the roadway. That's pretty tight, even 2 cars meeting there.
Do you want to try to have a meeting with him and Rita and to discuss it?
I don't care. I've spoke my mind, and if nobody will care.
Oh, okay.
So what's the impact? What's the real world impact from your standpoint of?
It's gonna make plowing it more difficult, and it's gonna crowd the traffic closer together.
Better chance for accidents.
Cars meeting,
So you're just putting every whole cars closer together,
yeah.
yeah,
If they could.
which increases the chance of some kind of.
Would it help with traffic calming? Into
It
the
would
village.
definitely help with traffic calming. Yeah.
And when you come down through there, even with the wing up, plow's 11 feet wide, you're taking close to 11 feet. If you meet a car, it's tight. On the other side of the road where John Roberts is, you can see there's some old curbing or something there, and we're always hitting that.
And there's no pedestrian walkway over there.
Are we, with narrowings happening, is that on School Street or elsewhere?
Bethel Mountain.
Bethel Mountain, not the School Street.
Right, but from the parsonage up to Brook Street.
I mean, that's why the plow is why the lower part of the asphalt sidewalk is all tore up anyway. And when there's a lot of snow, you can't see it.
That sounds pretty
I'm sure
serious.
Catherine hears me bounce off that concrete all the time.
Will the curbing be
Well, I'm
granite?
glad that most of the sidewalk is concrete. It seems to hold up much better than the asphalt.
Well, yeah, it should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
With a curb, but if the road's narrower, it's gonna make it that much worse.
Right, I'm just wondering whether the road could be expanded on the other side where there is no sidewalk. There's no sidewalk at all.
Oh, are you suggesting adding that foot that's getting taken away onto the other side?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can look at that.
Like shifting the roadway over?
Yeah, we can look at seeing if we can expand the pavement just a little bit. I will need to check with V-Trans to make sure that's still acceptable under this is sort of a special funding pot that we don't normally go through. So I would have to connect with them to see if that would be acceptable. The intent of this was really just to do sort of in-place maintenance and not a full project, but we can certainly look into that.
That should do.
Eric, has there actually been a site visit with measurements taken, or is this just a satellite imaging?
We have a full ground survey.
Oh, okay.
So,
Okay.
and I did visit the site as well.
Okay.
They did.
What happens if you just leave it 4 foot? Just redo it in the footprint that it's there.
We've had
Yeah, I mean,
wheelchairs
that
on
Really
that
doesn't
sidewalk.
meet the 5-foot standard.
It's supposed to be ADA compliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it can be 4 feet for stretches, but it can't be 4 feet in its entirety. So it's okay to narrow
So why doesn't it
to
just
avoid
narrow there?
things, but it should be 5 feet.
Especially.
And to answer the question about granite curbing, it can be granite, and that would hold up better to, strikes from the snowplow.
So it takes them 6 inches.
We have a question on Zoom from a Brook Street resident, if that's okay.
Yes.
Go ahead, Chelsea. You're on mute.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Sorry to join a little late. Yeah, we're just over here at 26 Brook Street on the corner there. And yeah, I just wanted to voice support for widening and yeah, if at all possible, a higher curb on the sidewalk. We just walk a lot with our 4-year-old daughter. And even today there was sorry if I'm repeating this, but like a 20-foot tire track parallel to the road right in the middle of the sidewalk. And so, yeah, just voicing nervous mom comment about anything we can do to make that sidewalk feel a little bit more set off from the road or have a little bit more space. We would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public input? If there is any more, we can contact the town clerk or any of us select board members and we'll pass the concerns along or the compliments, whichever.
So you're leaving this so that they're gonna rethink and see if they can take the foot off the other
Well,
side?
that's the impression I got.
Yeah, I'll follow up with V-Trans and see if we can widen that roadway to make up for the space we're taking away, and I'll get back to Rita and relay that information.
We're talking only where the crosswalk is, where you're coming out that 1 foot.
Ideally, it could be, the entire length of where we're narrowing Bethel
You're
Mountain
shifting
Road.
the sidewalk, yeah.
We could add that foot back on the other side potentially. if it's okay with V-Trans and it's feasible from a engineering and construction standpoint, then that's something we'll look at before going forward.
I'd like to do a site visit with you there. I've got a little bit of a plan in my head.
We can arrange that.
That maybe we could come to a
Compromise?
agreement, something acceptable to everybody.
Sure, I'd be happy to.
I can work on scheduling that. I'll reach out to you tomorrow, Eric.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, thank you. We're glad,
All right, thanks for
we're
having
glad
me.
to hear from you. We've been waiting 2 years for this, so,
Hopefully not too much longer.
okay.
All right, take care.
Take care. The next thing on our list is approving the February treasurer's report. I have browsed through it briefly, and so far everything looked in order. I move that we accept the February 25 treasurer's report.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's an interim thing, so it's 1/2 a year and 1 month. Next on our list is, we have the high school building construction manager agreement with Opus Corporation. As we were reading in our prior minutes, it went out to bids received, bids reviewed, bids accepted. So now, what I'm signing is the initial contract, and the only type of monetary releasing right now is $10,000 for pre-construction costs. So I am signing that. We have read over the contract. It's kind of boilerplate, but not out of line, correct?
Correct.
Thank you for working on that.
Done. Now we're about ready to hear some discussion from the visiting nurse of New Haven, Bayada, notice of non-service to Rochester. Somebody needs to bring the public up to date on where this stands. We have discovered that this service is currently not being provided to the town of Rochester. We had an appropriation for them. And so what the decision is that we need to discuss or take tonight is whether to release the appropriation, whether to hold the appropriation, and or not give them the appropriation. They've admitted that they don't have the personnel to send to our town, therefore we don't have a visiting nurse service in Rochester right now.
I just want to add that for those folks who are on Medicare, part of your Medicare B premium of $185 a month is for home health services through a home health agency. There's two, B&H and Bayada, and apparently neither one is providing home health services to the Quintown area for lack of staff.
So I'm late coming to the issue here. V&H and Bayada are two separate organizations, right?
Yes.
And neither one is available to service our needs here.
According to what my supervisor at Council on Aging checked out and discovered, is I had some clients who were being discharged from hospital, and the hospitals, Dartmouth as well as Rutland Regional, told them that there were no home health services to be able to serve them post-acute at home. So one of the questions I had was, because I've been doing this job a long time, and it was my understanding in Medicare training that when a situation like that arises, it's up to the home health agency to subcontract. And there are other agencies that do provide personal care services. So that would be one question I would ask to, did you say it was a Bayada
B&H is the
Yes.
only one that asks.
Well, the appropriation
For
was
appropriation.
Yes, because
V&H,
Beata
wasn't it?
didn't ask for appropriation, it was a
V&H that had
V&H.
the appropriation.
Beata is a for-profit, and I believe V&H is a non-profit.
Right.
is the
Beata doesn't
difference.
ask for
So
Yeah.
B&H
The Beata did not ask
the
for appropriation.
every year.
And by the way, in the 29 years, I've had tremendously good experiences with all staff. So this is nothing about the staff that they provided. This is about the inability to provide that service.
No, totally agree with that.
Yeah, it's just V&H.
So, Catherine, let me ask you this. If we withhold the appropriation that was voted in for V&H,
$2,400.
are there any, unforeseen consequences of
That
not
would be
paying
a
them?
conversation with the home health agency. I would have no idea. We're already seeing the unforeseen seen consequences of too few staff. One of the questions I'd have would be, well, what are you doing to recruit? As well as, are you willing to subcontract to provide services to Quintown? And it's serious when people are discharged and they have, wound care or other needs for nursing and home health aid.
And physical therapy.
And physical therapy, yeah.
So this appropriation that we're talking about is for starting on July 1. So we have to put some feelers out or find out if there's any hope of restoring the services to this town, and we can just hold on to this and see what happens down the road if this cures itself. If we pull the funding out of the budget, then we have to have a vote on that, whether to, pull that out, because we all just voted it in. So I propose that for the time being, we hold it in escrow, pending. Let's make some squawking and some screaming and see if we can get the service back that
Bring
we want
awareness.
to pay for.
Bring awareness to because when people go into the hospital, a lot of people do not know.
Mm-hmm.
They will not be discharged with home health service from either agency.
Mm-hmm. So we also need to share this information with the rest of the valley if they're not aware of it. It kind of came to light, I think Chad and Michaela kind of brought it to light.
Yeah,
And
first, Michaela.
so
Yeah,
we
it's been a
definitely
problem
need
for-
to do some broadcasting to others that are affected as well, so that, strengthen numbers, if that's gonna help at all. So for the time being, we're going public with what is going on. I propose that we really don't pull the funding out of the budget. We have until July to do so at this time, and do some walking and talking and see if we can get our service back, which is what we prefer to have. Are we in agreement with that?
Yes,
I would agree with
absolutely.
that.
Any further discussion?
Actually,
But to write some letters.
I have a question about the previous agenda item, the manager, but should I ask that question now or wait till we're in open?
Well, let's close this one out, we'll
Yeah.
bounce back to you.
Okay.
Anybody that wants to spread this word around and get as public as we can with it, that would be great. We are, as a select board, are going to write some letters, Catherine's going to write some letters. So we're just gonna get out there and be as public as we can.
And that the home health agencies be in regular contact with us about any progress they're making.
Mm-hmm.
This should not be discovered by reason of the fact that people aren't getting the services.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yeah. So,
We're 5
notification,
towns. We're 5
notification
towns.
is another thing that we would need to have, correct?
And we're already at the edge of their catchment areas. That's,
Right,
we're already, I know because I've been doing this job for 29 years. I know what it's like to get services. So we're here. We just need the services.
right. The pool is drying up. Nancy?
It's not that we didn't try to reach out to them when
We
we
did.
were doing the budget.
We did, and we
had
heard.
numerous communications with them, but we did not really get a significant response.
I remember.
But we went ahead with what they had requested,
Yes,
which I don't think was very honest of them to do either.
right. Well, I mean, did we release funding for this year?
Yes. I pay out appropriations in August.
So we've been going a while already without services to back up what we're paying for.
Yep. I think they only said 2 were
Yeah.
serviced out of Rochester area or Tri-Town. 2 people received services from them.
I think that was
last
hospice.
That was the,
Hospice, yeah, which is also very important services. But
but they can also bill people's insurance just like any other home health agency or clinic. So it's not like they're not getting paid anyway. They're just,
Yeah, I don't really understand why we give them appropriations anyways. It's not like we need them on retainer, or, I guess that's another question.
oh, that was answering Mike's question. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a significant amount too, $4,800 a year.
and I think in last year's town report, just with what VNH listed as what they did, it broke down to like $200 and something a visit for basically PCA care versus nursing or therapy or whatever. So
There's usually always nursing care.
it was a pretty high number for a pretty low skilled
Oh, this is something you
service.
saw in the budget and finance?
Just looking at the appropriation letter,
Oh,
maybe last year's, but coming in.
It was $212 a visit that we supported.
But just doing the math and breaking it down, it was a pretty obscene number for the care that was being received.
well, in general, healthcare in Vermont right now is running 40% higher than any other state.
Right.
We all get 15%, yeah.
Say, who's cashing in on that?
I'm not sure anybody's cashing in. You know, it's an interesting conversation if you're following it.
Everything.
But it's unbelievably high in our state.
I think it's the same across the board. I mean, I pay 30% more in building materials than I would if I went to Mass or,
Catherine, who do you
even New
recommend
Hampshire.
that we report, what is the governing agency to report our concerns?
Dale, Department of Aging and Independent Living, under licensing and protection. They're the ones who cover all Medicare. But in honor of the work of the home health agencies, I would like to work as much as possible. I would like us to work with them to really identify exactly, first of all, where's the recruitment happening? How can we facilitate recruitment? What is it that, you know, needs to happen to remedy this situation? Nobody wants to tag them, you know, like you're it or something, but how do we work to resolve this problem and serve a community that is an aging community?
Yep.
Agreed.
Nancy?
I can say that when Charlie was sick and we had very good care from them.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the last time they were having a difficult time finding people to come to Rochester. And then they were also dealing with traveling nurses. And
very expensive.
And that became a problem with the staff of VNA and also Biota.
And
because their salaries were paying those people so much more than their regulars.
Yep.
But that was 2 years ago.
So we're still dealing with the post-pandemic effect of staffing in general.
And a number of those service people from the agencies are older too.
Like me.
Well, I would like to revisit this issue by the end of June before the new fiscal year starts. And so we'll throw it on the agenda for the last meeting in June and see if we've made any progress. Everyone's so noted.
Rob,
Yeah, I had a question.
Oh, yes, we're going backwards.
Yeah, going backwards. So, and I apologize if you already answered this, not one here, but in a real simple, in a real simple way, can you describe how the management system with this guy's going to work? Who does he answer to? How transparent is it? Who's paying for it? But in a simple way. I'm not asking for a giant.
He's the construction manager, so he is the GC of the project. He will be answering to several different people, the architects. He'll be answering to these two guys. He will be doing subs, hiring the subs. He'll be placing jobs out to bid. So he's the general contractor for what you typically, if you're going to build a house, that person's going to hire someone for the foundation and the roof and the carpentry and all that.
But is he working for the town, I guess is my question.
Yes, the
He's not
contractor's with
working
the
for
town.
VH. Or
He's being
working
paid by VHI.
He's being paid by
Working for
VHI,
the
but
town.
he's working for the town.
For the town.
And he's also going to be getting us costs on materials, which will enable us to give more firm numbers, which is being asked for. But, you know, we're in a environment right now, an economic environment where things are changing all the time. I mean, tariffs now in Canada. I mean, it's very difficult to give a certain number. First of all, when you're in a design process and decisions are being made, that changes things. And secondly, when you're dealing in the kind of economy that we're dealing with increased construction costs, but also tariffs now added to the mix. So he's going to help us firm up those budgets, and then we'll be able to report.
But I guess my question really is he working for the town, or is he working for, who's he working for?
Contractors with the town.
And so, but does that mean that citizens, the voters can come to him and say, hey, how about this, or get any information from her? Or do you have to
He
go
will be
through?
reporting to both of these gentlemen here. So they should be always up to date on any information that you'd want.
So
That would be
I think I know where you're going with Rob. Kind of see a direction. So this construction manager is hired on for the proposal that is being proposed by VHI. So his pre-construction work is to basically put the rest of the pieces of the puzzle together, get those numbers. We're gonna know who's doing the work at what cost, all the pieces interlocking, so that should the project go forward, all those pieces are ready to go, and he will have everything lined up. And that's the purpose of his pre-construction presence.
Yeah, that's clear, that's good, thank you. And if somebody wants information about that, they ask you?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's go in the next direction. Rob, once again. Rob Gardner has taken on a little bit of a spearheaded project concerning the education, the taxes on education, what the legislature is doing about it. And there has been an alliance formed, the Rural School Community Alliance. And he has been working or reading their information and has recommended that we perhaps join the alliance. We are waiting to see a little bit more what the legislatures may come up with, if anything, this year. But in the interim, I have prepared a letter that is a little bit tailored off of a letter that the Rochester Unified District drafted back in January. And it was a good template for me to draft a letter that will come from the community. And I'm going to read it to you all if you have any comments. And this will be sent off to House Education Committee in the legislature. And anybody else that we find that should have this letter at hand, people, the decision makers up in Montpelier. Dear Vermont State Senators and Representatives, as members of a select board of the district you represent, we have closely followed the governor's proposal for the future of education in our state. We remain hopeful that details will emerge soon to help us all understand what will be the path forward for our communities. As our elected representatives, your understanding of our concerns will best equip you to ask questions and analyze a plan from the point of view of our shared constituencies. As a starting point, it is important to remember that the town of Rochester has recent and current memory and experience with the Act 46 mandate to consolidate as means to cut costs. Our high school was forced to close in 2018 with no plan or assistance from the state going forward, leaving our town still to this day dealing with the heavy decisions and retasking of a vacant building. This in itself has placed our community in a whirlwind of opinions and options which have yet to be resolved. Our Act 46 consolidation has not yielded the promised savings to Rochester taxpayers while creating unnecessary angst and distress within our community that is still dealing with the last legislative decision. This does not mean that there should not be mergers, but we know from experience that mergers, whether of governance structure or of school buildings, must be done with a tangible goal in place which would be supported by the best evidence and state support. Put simply, there is no room to experiment with the education of our students, their parents, or our communities in the hopes that we get it right. The town of Rochester has been directly impacted by tinkering done in the past. We have merged with the promise of reduced taxes only to experience more dramatic rises. The results of the last election presented a mandate to all state leaders to change the education funding. The board members of Rochester are significantly concerned that because of the rural and small nature of our communities, the current plan proposals will create educational deserts in the state, leading to stifling growth and deterring new Vermonters hoping to move to our state. We look forward to answers to these concerns and seeing a plan that solves the problem at hand of education costs and funding without further disrupting the lives of our children, their parents, and the taxpayers that we represent. If dramatic changes are necessary, a subsequent plan should be in place to further assist municipalities into the future, providing regrowth and without unintended consequences. Respectfully, and I do have all three of us listed on this letter. In other words, in simple terms, if they are going to come back and close any schools, do any further mergers, they have to have a plan in place for saving our community from going through what we have been going through in the last 5 years.
I'm not sure that you mentioned this, but right now they've turned the spigot off on any kind of new charter schools or independent schools. Mm-hmm. And that needs to be mentioned, because if they take that recourse away from us, then we really are a desert. So if they're planning to close something in terms of public education, they need to be able to allow us to solve our own problem.
Mm-hmm. Has that been written in stone?
Right now, I don't know how long it's going to go on, but right now you can't get certified.
I'm looking for a turning point on where the legislature is going to go, and perhaps that'll change. Right. There will be another
I'm just saying it could be a mention. And the other thing is that it's not just an empty building, it's a 33,000 square foot empty building in our village center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not go there yet.
I think it's a great letter. Yeah. Good job on that.
Well, thank you, Ron.
Oh, yeah. Very good. I didn't mean to criticize. It was just an suggestion.
We participated in a VLCT meeting today where they've spent a lot of time talking about education. And this week, starting tomorrow, they're going to be dealing a lot with education.
I hope so.
I got the impression that it is such a big job that won't happen this year.
Right, I'm getting that impression as well. I mean,
3 to 5 years.
We're 2 months into the legislative session, and not much has been done at all on it. And we've done crossovers, so.
I think this week we'll be hearing a lot.
Which means that they aren't going to be closing our school this year. So. Right. I propose that we start with this one. We get our place marker in, and as we watch how things unfold, we can do another letter again
It's
and
a
again.
good letter.
Yep, very good.
Mike has taught us how to do that.
Can I say one
Yes,
thing
sir.
about this? The organization, the Alliance, is an alliance of small towns to protect their schools, to keep them from closing. These are educators. They've hired a lobbyist. They're a special interest group for the towns. In Act 46, there wasn't any special interest group, and everybody got rolled. So the current plan for the governor is to look at schools of a threshold size, of which right now we're underwater in that thing. But there's two warring things going on in the legislature right now. It's very complicated. It's going to take time. But the point of this alliance is for the towns to work together to try to protect themselves from legislation that would close the schools. Basically, it's really about closing the schools. It's more than that. That's the bottom line to this. How bad it is for these towns to be closed to. And you lose the local control, affects property values, it's a terrible thing. Anyway, I just want to say that. They're very good people, in my opinion.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you, Rob. Keep it up, though. Rob is a wealth of information with long emails.
I know, yeah. I didn't say brevity was part of it.
Not part of your act. Damn.
So we're going to move on to at our last meeting, I had said that I was waiting for a response from Vermont Leagues of Cities and Towns, as I had asked questions of a free service that we got about receiving a petition for a vote on it. So my question was, do the citizens have the power to petition a vote on a question to force the select board to take a different position than what the select board wishes? Basically, after we were talking about all of the background on it, the select board never needed to put any of this up to a vote, but it's completely fine that they did to gauge voter sentiment. Many towns do this with various things, whether to adopt a certain kind of ordinance. They get quite long-winded. Further, state law doesn't give voters the right to petition to force the select board to put another Australian ballot question at a special or annual town meeting to vote on an issue. That being said, the select board can choose in its discretion to place another article at a special or annual town meeting on the issue, as we had done previously with the first vote, the yes or no to acquire the building vote. We were not required to bring that to the voters, but we chose to do that. And basically what we were being told is that, once again, we're in the same spot. We are not required to go out to a vote, even with a petition telling us that we're being requested to, but we could choose to do that. So that's basically where we're standing at this point in time. I asked a question, I got an answer, and also with the information of not having, not giving the public information about this repurposing and plans and this and that, I went through all of the agendas and select board meetings from 2020 through 2025. And in 2020, out of 30 select board meetings, the high school was discussed 5 times. 2021 were 31 select board meetings. It was discussed 8 times. In 2022, we had 32 select board meetings. They got big, a lot. Discussed 7 times. In 2023, we only had 28 select board meetings. It was discussed 4 times. In 2024, we had 33 select board meetings. It was discussed 13 times. And so far in 2025, we've had 8 select board meetings. It's been discussed 5 times. So the high school repurposing and the plans and all of that have been discussed over the last 5 years 42 times in a public meeting. So I just want to know that we have really done everything that we can to bring information accurate and to the public. And it just struck me as something that I needed to just bring some data forward on. So that is the response of what we have at this time. I'm not going to go any further with any other discussions or decisions tonight.
Is there going to be a time for further discussions?
Perhaps.
And if I made an observation, would that be a discussion?
Questions are awesome.
Is my shirt on, but what's the observation?
There's certain soreheads in town. I don't know if you've met them.
Yeah, we're aware of all that. We are aware of that. We don't need to repeat.
I'll just give you an impassioned plea. I think it's worthy of continued discussion. It's a very big, expensive project, the biggest, I guess, the town's ever faced, except maybe building that thing. So I would just, without giving you, I just think that leaving the door open for discussion would be very positive.
No, we don't take possession of the building for another few months, so.
And I just want to go on the record again saying that there are off-ramps to this project. The town signed a purchase and options agreement so that, and they enrolled in the umbrella program, which included hazardous materials as well as brownfields. The reason that they do that is to protect the potential buyer from any discovery. So if the PCB testing results in the need for mitigation, and that's just a cost that we cannot even look at, that's an off-ramp. But the other main off-ramp is, going back to what I was talking earlier, the economy in which we're dealing with. If the project ends up costing more than we have raised money to pay for it, that is an off-ramp. The town is not obligated to do this project if we can't afford it.
You don't have to sell me on it.
No, I'm just telling you, there are off-ramps.
Well.
Nobody is gonna force this on the town if the town can't do it. We are trying our best to only deal with the operation costs coming from taxpayer money. We've got 2 grants in the making right now, the Community Block Development Grant and the Northern Borders, all right? So we are launching a capital fund drive. So we are trying the best we can as volunteers to get the funds that we need to upgrade that building. Oh. And we were told by the engineers a week ago Friday that if we had a power outage, that building would retain its heat for 5 days. That's probably going to be the best insulated building in the entire town.
Catherine, you don't have to, I hear you. All I'm saying is, it's worthy of discussion, that's all. If enough people in town really have a question about it, it's
Let her
worthy of
discuss
discussion.
it. She's discussing.
I'm discussing it and you're shutting me up.
Oh, you want to discuss it? I thought.
Point please.
Why don't you two stop talking and let me talk?
Okay, Walter, you have the floor.
So I'd like to address you, Mike, because I have in front of me the formulary that you sent to everybody in town.
Yeah?
And I don't want to go through all 23 things.
I hope not, it'll be a long time to write that.
Right. I want to address number 23. I've talked with Hubbard Brothers from Rutland to give the town an estimate on demolition.
Right.
And it says site visit this week, which was last week.
Yeah,
Have they been here?
Right.
Do we have a price?
They didn't get here.
They didn't get here.
No, they had something come up that worked over there, so they couldn't make it.
So you have no
should-
more information than you had before.
You should know how things go.
I understand. So my other question is, since you're not able to address a plan and a cost for demolition,
Right.
are you able to address a plan and a cost for moving the town garage into the classroom wing? Those were your 2 proposals. You
Right.
said that we don't entertain anything. I'm asking you for specific information on the 2 plans you've put forward.
You know,
Am I
this is in a
supposed to
court of
come up with
law.
that in a week?
You've had 4 years.
You've had 5 years.
Wait, let's,
You've had 5 years.
I just think we should leave open the door for discussion of this.
That's
We don't need to get in
discussion,
a
Rob.
fist fight about it now, that's
I'm not
all.
gonna get in a fist fight. I'm 84 years old.
See, we're doing a lot more laughing than we are fighting, so it's okay, we can continue. Is there any more discussion?
No.
Okay, we can move on a little bit here. Next on our agenda, actually, is department reports. Do we have anyone from the library on the line?
No, I do not.
Do we, the fellow from GMP we wanted to hear from too. We wanted-
Yeah, where is he plugged in? Is he?
Zach Casey is online if you want to
Well,
go
let's
in that
do
direction.
that. Let's hear from Zach now. Thank you.
Zach, if you want to go ahead, you are muted.
Zach is from Green Mountain Power, and this is related to lighting issues down at the car charging center.
Yeah, here I am. Sorry, I was on.
Hi, Zach.
Hey, everybody. How's everyone doing? Thanks for having me. Jeff Gephardt and I have been trying to find a solution to come up with some lighting at the park and ride downtown. We have 2 fast chargers in the southeast corner of the parking lot. We've had some requests from users of those fast chargers for some lighting in the area. Some folks that use the chargers at night feel, I guess, uncomfortable a little bit when they're using the chargers for a session. And so Jeff and I have been working on solutions to come up with what we can do to offer some lighting there. The one that we've come up with is essentially putting a street light on a pole on the northwest corner of the parking lot, facing down towards the ground to offer some light to the parking lot. I looked at originally to put maybe installing a lamp on the concrete pad that the chargers sit on, but the voltage there is high voltage 277 480 that doesn't really allow access to low voltage lights. So we ruled that out. Then we looked at what kind of lights we should put over there. One of them being a floodlight that illuminates the parking lot from that pole there, and would kind of cast light towards the chargers. I think that personally, we've also had some folks complain about the chargers themselves, about the light emitting on the back of them. And we put up a little banner to eliminate that. So I rolled out a floodlight option. And the third option probably is to get some light into the parking lot, which is not a bad idea, even just for the parking lot itself, in my opinion, is to put a street lamp on a pole in the northwest corner that faces east, but shines down on the ground. That proposal, GMP would put the light up. We would operate the light on, because you guys are generous enough to let us put a charger in the parking lot, so it wouldn't have any cost towards the town whatsoever. That's my pitch.
Right, and that was my question, because we pay for like 42 streetlights right now, so I didn't want to add any more to it.
Right.
So that it
Understood.
Even the street light won't cost us anything.
That's correct.
Are you looking for us to give you our blessing? You're not on our agenda, so making a decision might not happen tonight because it's not properly warned. But we can go ahead and say that we agree with one of the proposals. And then I hate to see you put something up and have the neighbors all come knocking on our door about it.
Right. You know, the beauty about the street light, there's everything's there for us to install it. There's service wire connected to that pole already, and it would be pretty simple for us to put it up and test it out. But we didn't want to do anything without the approval from the town, and understood if it's no decisions being made here, I'm here to give you all the information of what we've ruled out and what our proposal is at this time. So.
And it can't be a motion light, and so it's turned off if no one's there.
We don't have, right now, we don't have those. I know. It would be on a photocell like all the others, comes on at dusk, goes off at dawn.
You guys gotta come into it here.
I know. I tried to figure out if we could put a small lamp on that pad there without like a new service and whatnot. The voltage there is only for the high speed chargers.
Okay, well, we did have the request for better lighting in that parking lot. And so,
We have a special meeting on April 3rd if you needed to push it.
yeah, I mean, we're in the public opinion now, and we can be on an agenda coming up soon so that we can give you our blessing officially. Jeff?
I sent an email to Dan McKinley to get on the agenda for the April 1st planning.
Right, it needs to go planning board too, doesn't it? Does it need to go planning and select board, or can we just pass this off on the planning board? It's a good question, isn't it?
It's like my pay grade.
I mean, the select board does pay for the street lights, so it's kind of under our thing, but it's also lighting is also something the planning board, so I guess it does need to fall under both of us.
Well, if we're not gonna be footing the bill for it, does it really matter to us though?
We will receive the complaints from it, but we can pass that along to the planning board too. Yeah. Okay, I think Zach, we're going to invite you to the planning board meeting. That is taking place on April 1st, so we do have time to warn it so that it could be on their agenda and they can discuss it, and then you would have the perfect green lights rather than waiting another 2 weeks for us. I think it's more than that too. It's 3 weeks for our next meeting.
Sounds
Does
good
that
on my
sound better?
Sounds great on my end. Whatever it takes.
Okay, so we're gonna take that direction with it, and we're not trying to pass you off on someone else. I'll be there. So
Sounds
we'll
great.
talk to you again on April 1st.
Sounds great. Someone just send me the Jeff. I'll let someone send me the invite for that. Thank you. Thank
That will
you.
be a Zoom too. Thank you.
Have a good night all.
Bye, Zach. Poor guy stuck around for a while, wanted to be passed off. Mr. Champion, we have.
I got nothing.
You got nothing? Okay, that's good. Everything's running, nothing's broken? The roads are great?
The roads.
I'm never gonna say that.
It's tomorrow morning's right around the
Trucks that
corner.
are just total junk,
Everything is normal.
so I'm not gonna say that nothing's broke.
I
They
see
might
the,
broke
I see the
sitting there.
bills they bring in, so I'm not disagreeing with you. Well, hopefully spring is gentle on us all, so. Utilities operator,
Well,
Terry?
the utilities are good, but fire department's got a dead truck.
okay, you wanna fold that in there? I heard that there was a blown head gasket.
We don't know for sure, but that's what we're assuming until
Okay.
it gets to the doctors.
Okay, and it'll need to be towed to the doctors?
Yeah, we got a price of $1,200,
Mhm.
and hopefully the guy's gonna take it tomorrow or no later than Wednesday.
Is it full of water?
No,
Good.
not
That'd be a
full,
heavy
doesn't
load.
have anything in it anymore.
Mhm.
That's the best we can do
Okay,
and hope. I have no idea what it's gonna cost.
Terry, how old is that truck?
old 80,
Yeah, it's a 91.
91.
But I've been looking to what it would cost for a second-hand truck. And it's scary. I mean, a 20-year-old truck you ain't gonna touch for less than 250,000 with a pump on it. You can buy a new one for 450.
Mhm.
And we gotta start putting some money away to buy this stuff.
Yep,
Can't keep voiding it like the plague,
we have the capital plan.
because you can wanna talk scary if this other truck goes down,
Mhm.
we're kinda screwed.
Do you have access to a tanker?
Yeah, we'll phone, call up mutual aid.
Yep. But they are in the valley, right?
Depends on who's there. A lot of times Hancock doesn't have very many people, if any. In Granville, I wouldn't count on them at all.
They have different problems than you do.
Right, they just don't have, people aren't working in the valley anymore, so we've been really fortunate in town that we have a really good turnout. But
And we have Stockbridge on standby.
we got Stockbridge on standby, but there again, their last fire they had at 5:30 in the morning, and only had 7 people show up. So middle of the day,
We're all bedroom communities.
and if it's up in North Hall, you're gonna add half an hour. Time-wise for them to get there. So, the decision was made, I made the decision that I talked with Ray and Cooter went up, looked at it to see where to take it. There's not a lot of places that work on something so new.
The guy actually said they gotta go out and talk to the old guy in the shop.
Where's it
Uh,
Kenmore.
up in Burlington, or.
Charlie's a straight shooter though.
So, it's headed. When it's done, you know, he's gonna try fitting it in when he can. He said he was kind of busy. The old guy had a couple of jobs ahead, but he would get it in as quick as he could.
Okay. Well, maybe it'll be an easy fix. It's a thermostat. No?
It's not that.
We can hope.
Not when you put water.
I was in the
right
truck
there,
when it
comes
started acting up, and it definitely wasn't on the thermostat.
Yeah.
It looked like a Stanley steamer when I see it.
Oh, you ought to seen it when it was going up on the hill.
Yeah.
I couldn't even dump water.
No, I felt it when I was going up on the hill.
It was leaking so bad.
Put that big holes up to it. That's a tanker right behind you.
How are we doing with our energy coordinator, Jeff?
Not a whole lot, but I want to thank Julie for finding the ADA documents from the early 70s. And there's a little more on there than we were expecting, but I will put it into the our request for proposal. Getting close with that. I will want to meet with the board to review that before we send it off. Or put it out. And of course, there's been a lot of falderall back and forth with this lighting.
Yes. The work that's being done on the office building will be the first to go out to bids.
Well, we've got money for the office building and for the garage, the town garage.
So that
So
they'll
I-
both be going out to bids at the same time?
I would think that we
So
should do it that
contractors
way.
could possibly
Make it a
work on-
bigger pie.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Okay, and so hopefully we get some of that work done this summer.
Nice.
Okay, thank you. Grant updates. There is one from Kristen where she is asking, this is for one of the
burning money.
The CDS, Congressional Direct Spending Grant. And they have a couple of forms and questionnaires and information that they need to tie up the rest of that grant so that money can start flowing.
Are those the attachments that came in today?
No, that's just the one for the lawyer.
This is
I just needed their
just the one.
approval
Yeah,
to
that's just
send
the
that.
one, exactly.
So I just gave approval that actually this goes to the attorney saying that certifies that the town of Rochester was duly incorporated on X date and has been in continuous existence since that date, that we are actually a real town. So, gotta have those
There was a whole
certifications.
lot of that type of stuff in that email. I don't know if you looked
Yeah,
at any of those attachments.
I browsed it, said
Yeah.
not today.
Yeah, and we're meeting with her
Tomorrow.
on Thursday, and some of it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna
for
hold
us.
off on everything
Yeah.
until I hear back from
Yeah.
you. Maybe I could meet with you.
Sure, we'll just say,
Zoom?
include you in the link.
Yeah, that might be good if you don't mind.
No, not
In
at
the
all.
meantime, I'll send that off to Jim, but the rest of it, I would like to be there.
Okay,
if that's
that
okay.
sounds good.
Do you have any other grant updates?
No, nope, I just wanted to get your approval on that. Other than that, things are pretty kinda calm.
Okay, same with me, yeah. So we're gonna move into the repurposing high school committee update.
Okay. We got.
You have the floor.
Couple things. I think the one I want to point out first of all is the work that's been done in the school headed by Michaela to clear out the stuff that needs to be thrown away to put up for sale, things that need to be put up for sale. She and a team of volunteers have just put in a tremendous amount of time. And a lot of people come through on Saturday and walk out with smiling faces and donated some money to help the cause. And so that's gone very, very well. More work to go, but it's been great so far. We talked about the construction manager. They were on site today, going around looking through the building with the architect to get an on-site view of the stuff that they have only seen on paper so far. We've started the transition planning for operational management for the school. Walter and I met with Lindy Stetson and Eric Harrington about all kinds of things in terms of how the building is managed, even to the point of where somebody wants to rent space and rent the auditorium, have the players come in the summer for their summer camp, all that. We're gearing up to take responsibility for that. Working on a capital campaign, materials pulling together for that. Was mentioned earlier, we have applications going in for 2 major grants. One is a pre-application that was submitted, the select board approved last time, and one we're going to be filing in early April for the community development block grant. PCB testing we expect to start in April, according to Sarah Raitt, and we'll learn more about the timetable around that as the next couple of weeks go by.
She said 2 weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks, yeah, so early April. And then you'll be testing, there'll be unofficial results, and then official results, and then we'll find out from that whether the concentrations exceed threshold requirements for mitigation or not. If they do, then you have to submit a mitigation plan. That takes time to develop and to get approved, and then you have to actually do the work. So keep our fingers crossed that we don't cross those thresholds. That's coming up. So let me turn to my colleagues here, see if there's anything else to share today.
As one more thing, we have a meeting later this week, Robert Mayer and I, with the IT person for the district who wants to talk about how we're gonna sever the 2 buildings and what's gonna be left, so.
There's internet and telephone.
Internet.
Right, they all were operated out of the high school.
Right.
Was there a tally from the sale?
Yeah, it was over $1,600. Over
Well, that was without the Venmo, so
Yeah.
we're probably about $1,800, 2,000, somewhere around there.
They did a Herculean job. I mean, they really did.
Yeah.
It's nice to have young bodies and so much energy, but it's just, really, just amazing what they did. And
it was a good day, people were out and about.
yeah. And I understand that the vibe was very positive and, a good feeling day, so.
Yeah. And that doesn't count the 2 giant dumpsters of junk that was tossed out, which together about the capacity of this room. Broken furniture, trash, everything, stuff that's useless.
2 30-yard dumpsters were totally filled, plus 3 additional trailer loads that went to the metal recycling, with more to go. More to go.
Is anybody in the market for lockers? Let us know.
Put those up on Facebook.
Anybody looking for lockers from the high school building, just get in touch with Michaela.
There you go.
There you go for something for the paper, Martha.
Like lockers for those ones.
They're nice.
And I didn't want to just acknowledge the girls because Walter had a big piece in this, absolutely big piece in this.
Walter's now in physical therapy.
And we have yet to have another offering of athletic jerseys and things, so that will come about as well.
Yeah, the plan is to reach out to alumni first and then.
Kelly?
Yep.
Yep.
It's coming soon.
Okay, I have some select board updates. The first update I'd like to see if Chad has an update on the tree removal at Firehouse Park.
I do not.
Okay.
I've actually been trying to run into Nancy to see where we ended up with that.
I can't hear you.
The trees.
The trees at the Firehouse
So,
Park.
Oh, I took pictures of them. I'm gonna ship them over here.
Okay.
And we've already talked to somebody about taking them down.
right, okay.
Okay, because we were targeting winter,
Several
but
of
that's gone by.
We can
hopefully.
take them down.
Even though it snowed. There's snow on the ground
I
again.
haven't been told to ask them really. You want them down?
I'm gonna check
We
back
can come
again,
down.
so.
I like that.
The pictures are gonna come over here. You talk with Julie.
We gotta clean them up? That's the part I don't like.
Yes.
Clean them up. Or burn them.
A couple well, maybe our last meeting or meeting before, at last meeting, we awarded a name to a private road for 911 purposes, and it was asked what the criteria is for that. So I did ask Angus McCusker, and he also accepted Ridge Road as an okay name. And as for minimum sites off of a shared driveway, 3 or more sites off a driveway requires a private road name. If it's 2 or less, no need for a private road.
Thank you.
So I just wanted you to know I did follow up on that. Also, since our last meeting, there was a notification from Susie Smolin, who came in to report that the sign at the Skip Mart is too low and people walking by could potentially bang their heads on it. And I did respond to Susie and informed her that this was more of an issue or a concern for the planning board and the property owner. If somebody was going to walk by and slam their head on the sign, the property owner would be the one that they'd be suing. So it's not really in our wheelhouse. And if there was concern about, we have sign limits on how tall the sign can be, but there's nothing written about how low a sign can be. So she's probably going to discuss it with the planning board. And I said that's where she needed to go with that. And she did respond saying, thank you. I received a message from Rob Gardner, and he was looking for advice regarding some nighttime noise coming from a construction project nearby in a village house. I did reach out to the Windsor Sheriff's Department, noting that if they were doing patrols during the night to take note of whether there was noise going on a construction project. And hopefully the project is completed soon.
Yeah, it's done.
And problem solved.
Yes.
One of the other things, and this is trivial, but we received a message from Quality Paving asking to go onto our bid list. So I'm sure the ladies are adding that on, but I just want to make it public that we did receive their request and we're taking note of it. And if we need to have some paving done, they will be notified to bid on it.
Thank you.
And the last thing that I have, the select board has had some discussion about changing the official time of its 2 regular monthly meetings to 5 o'clock or 5:30. This does accommodate our town office staff that ends their day at 5 o'clock. So typically they just kind of hang out for an hour waiting for the 6:15 meeting to come along. This also allows us to travel home maybe 10 meetings a year in daylight instead of going home walking or driving home in the dark. So I want to put a little public input out there if anyone, before we just change the time, if anyone had any questions or concerns about it, we're bringing it open for discussion. And we will probably be putting that on the agenda, which our next meeting will be at 6:15. And we will designate when we want to change the time to 5 o'clock. And we'll put it on the agenda. You don't care, do you? No, I see that in everyone's eyes.
I
They're
kinda care.
getting tired. That is it that we have to offer. Is there any old business or public comment to bring forward? Who is Rob?
I know it's unusual for me to speak out.
No, it's not. And we want to hear from you.
So, we have here in the room tonight, we have Catherine and Vic and Walter, and we have the Sorehead Caucus. We have me and Mike. Why don't we just take a minute and we can just talk to you.
And pray.
And thoughts and prayers. And just, for myself, I feel like there's a genuine, legitimate, common sense issue here that's just kind of getting buried. And I can't really speak for Mike, but you know, I would the best thing without acrimony, and it's a really bad thing for acrimony to start coming out of this thing. They're legitimate people, have legitimate common sense points of view, and there ought to be a way to put those out on the table and have them considered. That's why I think a vote is actually really important. But just because I think the warning on that first vote was flawed. And I have a principal gripe, and I can tell you my principal gripe in a couple of sentences, or we can save it for another time. What would you like?
A couple sentences?
Yeah, a couple sentences.
I dare you.
So, to me, there are two routes to this solving this problem. One is to save the building. That's a comma. The other is to develop the property, not tear down the building for nothing, but to develop the property. Consider it a property. The property idea has never been examined, has been dismissed. Catherine has said, I don't want to go into debt for a vacant lot. Anyway, it's a big difference in ideas, never been, in my view, never been really discussed. And I think because this is such a big project and so expensive and the risk is so high and there are so many uncertainties right now, which you were speaking to, I just think that there ought to be, that we shouldn't close the book on this, that's all.
What does develop the property mean?
Well, it means you conceive of it as a development project rather than a save the building project. That means you say, all right.
But we'd consider this as a development project.
God bless you. That means you talk to a developer or somebody and you say, here's the 4 acres, here's the floodplain situation, here's how big the building is. What else could we do with that property and how much? That's a big discussion. You have to talk to real experts and stuff, but it's a discussion. When you're done, let's say it was housing, but let's say it was something else. Let's say it's a town office, town building. That could be anything. All I'm saying is it's a discussion that has not been looked into deeply. And the save the building thing has a hazard hanging over its head of $100,000 a year, whereas the develop the property has the potential, depending on what you built there, to bring people in if it was housing or make money for the town or whatever. And I don't want to discuss it all now, but it's an area of discussion that I don't believe has ever happened.
So you think that housing has never been considered?
I didn't say that. I don't want to argue with you.
I need to respond to this. You think that as of this date, housing has not been considered for that?
My dear friend, Catherine Schenkman, has publicly got up and said, I will not see this town go into debt for a vacant lot.
You're avoiding my question.
Well, I'm sure you have talked. I know I talked to my pal Vic about it.
Right, so housing has been explored.
I'm not saying it hasn't. What I'm saying is there's a whole other area of examination hasn't happened.
The town office could move down there.
I think you need to let Mike speak, because I asked him about his 2 proposals, and I'm sure he has something to say.
Wait, I don't argue.
I'm asking Mike to
all
speak.
I'm saying is it's an area of discussion. That's my gripe. Mike might have his own gripe.
No.
He's a quiet guy. But
I had a question for Walter.
Yeah.
Is if Hubbard Brothers had showed up last week, do you think they were gonna have an estimate Monday night?
No, but
Okay, you were saying like, okay,
No.
well, you ain't doing nothing.
I asked you, did you hear back from them?
No.
Okay.
You were insinuating that I didn't have an estimate.
That's
Boys,
personal. I wasn't insinuating.
all I'm saying in 2 sentences, was that good or what?
No, that was way more than
It's an area that has never been looked at.
Okay,
and really
well,
should be
let me
looked at.
just
That's all.
interject a little bit. One of the things that we are looking for is someone that's talking about these other concepts to look into it, step up to the plate and look into it. As Mike is doing with his idea of having a demolition, he wants to get another quote. He went out and he got another quote. I can admire that. So if you want to explore other options for developing that property, put some pen to the paper and let's see if you can pull something together.
Well, why should I do that if it's a dead issue? If you say to me, Rob, what a great idea, let's open that's great, I'll spend time. I've actually also already talked to a developer, but I'm not gonna do that if my effort's gonna go up in smoke because all this other stuff going on.
Well, wait a second.
Why would we say that your efforts are going to automatically go up in smoke? Theirs didn't.
Not yet,
But wait,
but it could, considering other options. Up in smoke.
At one point, I considered forming a task force and appointing people to look into certain aspects of what else could be done to the building. I'm not doing that at this point in time. I may not do it ever, but if someone out there does not want to pick up the ball and figure out what else can be done with this building and do the legwork, are you waiting for the select board to trigger that?
no, I'm waiting for the
Because
select
we
board to
could.
tell me whether or not it's a done deal or not.
It's not a done
in-
deal.
It's not a
The
done deal.
impression
We don't
I
even
got,
own the building
It's
yet.
not a done deal. There's a lot of things that could derail this.
Piece of
That's
deal.
but
just-
look at all the work, these posts, how much work have you done? 5 years worth of
Yeah, no, I
work? Look at the
get
immense
both
amount of work
sides.
that they've done.
And the money that we have
yeah.
raised. But
Yeah.
as you point out, things can go up in smoke. As I said earlier, we have off ramps if A happens or if B happens. So wait a second, you just said you don't want to go out and do the work unless it's all going to go up, unless there's some sort of guarantee that it won't go up in smoke. We've never had that guarantee. We've had to, the entire time that we've done
No, I
this,
think
Rob, we have always had to say that whatever happens, we have to accept the outcome, but that doesn't stop us from doing the work.
I thought
If I may defend my friend Rob here for just a moment. I know you need my help.
Was I dying?
You're sinking, I can play back up. No, I think what he's saying is, if somebody does the work, like Rob, or someone else, is that going to be taken seriously or just dismissed and put in a drawer because there's another plan that's favored?
And
Going to be taken seriously.
But the select board has already said this is the plan.
No.
Publicly.
No.
If
This is the only plan we have right now. Bring it
Yeah,
on.
and we need, the off ramps that were mentioned, we need a backup plan. I mean, call it the backup plan, call it the front plan. But I think the notion of getting to a developer and talking to him, see what.
I had a good discussion with the developer. So here's the thing, I think it's a real good idea to have a task force.
She's here,
That isn't part of this committee. To be completely honest, they've been very single-minded and effective with one objective.
Believe me, I'm not interested in another.
Yeah, we don't have time to go to another project.
So if you're saying that the table is certainly open for discussion, that's fine.
That is the entire reason that the select board 5 years ago, 2019, whenever that actually happened, looked for committees to take these little projects on and vet them and just research and go through them, because the VHI board doesn't want any more than that one project. How is the select board supposed to
There's no
do
bandwidth
this
for us to do anything.
and do that?
We're writing grants,
Even-
there's so much work.
So
I think it would be great to hear.
if there's a
you can find
viable,
somebody.
sustainable
That'd be awesome to hear.
plan, it's certainly worth bringing to the table.
Perhaps another plan could complement the first plan.
Well, in the scenario I just described, you can't develop the land if the building's still there. I mean, I think they're kind of counter,
So your
But what-
plan includes demolition.
So what would the development bring to the valley or bring to Rochester? That would become the largest question.
if you're saying to me you're wide open to this, I'll be happy to talk to some people and put together a conceptual envelope that might incorporate
That's how this one started.
If you look
I have
at
a hand
the
raised.
website, you'll see
Whenever.
the chronology of documents that went through the whole exploratory process.
Okay.
One of the things I do have to tell you about what you're embarking on maybe is that there is an entirely different regulatory process for demolition than for development. And it has a much higher threshold.
I think I heard that before. I'm just saying
Thank
it's
you. I'm glad
Okay, we
you
have
remember.
someone on Zoom that would like to speak.
Yep, Mary, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Mary.
I'm sorry I couldn't join you in person. I just finished with another project. I want to say what I have to say, and I want to say it in two parts. The first one is, I haven't been on for this whole meeting, but in the last few minutes, I heard Rob make at least 4 separate claims that I think are demonstrably either untrue or for which a persuasive and sound argument has not fully been made. So I'm just putting myself on record here to say, here's what I heard you say, and I don't think that it's true. The first one is that the property has not been fully considered for development. And I think all of the records about the conversations in the last 5 years demonstrate that that's substantially not true. I also heard him say this is definitely a high risk, and I think that is a claim that you cannot simply state as fact. I think that your definition of risk is not everybody else's definition of risk, so I don't think you can just state it as fact. The third one is you claim that this discussion has not looked into other options in depth, and I think, again, the written public record would counteract that claim. And the fourth thing you said was that we're looking at a hazard of $100,000 a year. I don't know if that's false, but that's a new number to me. So I'm not looking for you to respond right now. I just want to say that as somebody listening to this meeting, I heard you say 4 things, 3 of which I think are demonstrably untrue.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me.
Separate from responding to you, Rob, separate from responding to you. My own comment that I was hoping to join you to make, if you will bear with me for 1 second here, is the way that I'm thinking about this is as follows. And this is the way my robot brain works, okay? To the best of my knowledge, the following is true. The select board has the authority to make decisions about buildings owned by the town without putting it to a vote. The high school is a building that is owned by the town. Therefore, the select board has the authority to make decisions about the high school without putting them to a vote. To my mind, that describes the current facts of policy. So if anyone wants to make the argument that the select board should not have this authority about the high school, then one of 2 things has to be true. Either decisions about town buildings should be put to a vote. The library, the town hall, town buildings. Or you have to make the argument that the high school building differs in some substantial and relevant way from other buildings owned by the town. And that the decision about the high school building differs in substantial or relevant way from other decisions built by the town. And that those differences make it inappropriate for the select board to operate as usual, and that the better policy would be a town vote. I'm sitting here listening to this conversation, watching it on Front Porch Forum and having listened to it over the last 2 years, and I am not yet persuaded that the high school building or the decision about it differs in some substantial and relevant way from other decisions made about town buildings. I think that if you really want to make the argument that you're trying to make, you have to make that first and not jump to these other things. So that was what I was hoping to say, is this is how my brain is working about it. This is a building we own, and so it's subject to the same kind of decision-making authority that we use for other buildings, or it's somehow substantially different and should be treated differently. And if that's the case, make that argument first before you jump to the vote. So that's the, for better or worse, that's the way my brain is approaching it. And that's what I was hoping to say tonight. So thank you for letting me speak from Zoom.
Thank you, Mary. Your brain and my brain work differently, clearly. I think what you described is your opinions about these things, to which you're entitled, and God bless you. But I don't think I was factually wrong, and I don't want to take a lot of time to defend myself like we're in court. But this is your opinion, God bless you. I don't see it that way, and I brought the best thinking that I can to the meeting. But thank you for your comment.
Anyone else? Mike?
I would just like to make it clear that I'm not the only one that feels this way about this. Everybody that has signed my petition feels the same way I do. And I get the feeling that people are looking at, this is only my decision. And it
So
isn't.
noted.
Huh?
So noted.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 200 and something, right?
I would say, just very briefly, that there's a lot of heat in what Mary said. She was, and we really need to keep the damper down on this. And I put myself in that bag too.
Mm-hmm. Mary has her hand up again.
I don't think heat is a problem.
that was Mary. I just
There you go.
muted you by accident. I'm very
Yep.
sorry.
So I would put forth two things. One, I think heat is not a problem. I think personal attacks, hyperbole, things off topic, those are problems. I don't think the tone of my voice is the problem or is a problem. I would also put forth that I'm not offering my opinion. I am offering an argument. I'm offering a claim. I'm providing evidence, and I'm saying, here's how I got there. And to take what somebody has said and say, that is your opinion, is actually demonstrably not taking that position seriously. I do not think, Rob, that your position is an opinion. I think it's a position, and this is true for Mike or anybody else as well. And what I'm asking is for people to take the time to make a clear claim, provide evidence to support that claim, and walk their way through to a conclusion. So I would just put out there for my own preference, right? Heat's not bad. Ad hominems are bad. And yeah, that's what I got.
Okay.
Thank you, Mary.
I would like to encourage everyone in this room to ask 3 people to watch the Orca Media video or read the minutes or stay in tune with what's being said at these meetings. We have like the same people show up and it's not getting out there. So if these 3 people, and tell those 3 people to tell 3 other people, and that way maybe we'll get some good town information going and your discussions will be heard. So I'd like to just kind of close everything with that if possible.
I would like to ask Martha a question if she's still online.
Martha, are you awake?
I'm here, I'm awake.
All right, Catherine wants to ask you a question.
Hopefully I have a good answer.
For our newspaper reading public, is it possible to have a consistent update on the high school project published in the paper that may not be a part of the select board minutes, but could just be an article in and of itself, maybe once a month, if, you know?
You have done paid ads for that, right?
I would think so. I can certainly check with my boss, Mr. Tim Calabro. I believe he would say that was okay, but give me a call or email me or something, and we'll discuss this because once.
The more frequent the updates, the shorter they'll be. So in terms of space, but
I'm thinking you're right. Once a month would be good. Is it okay?
Thank you.
Okay. And I'm sorry, but I have to leave the meeting. So are we almost done, Pat? According to the agenda?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are almost done. Did you need Martha?
I just want to be clear. So if Rob goes and talks to a developer, has an idea, and brings it back to the select board, it'll be received and evaluated. Yes?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, that's the democratic way.
Yeah. Well, I just want to be sure it wasn't just left as conversation, but conversation leads to an action.
Yeah. I read it.
Okay. Okay.
The same as if Mike brings forward his proposal. Okay, so let's share the sentiment around town, and I move that we adjourn and we will reconvene on April 14th at 6:15. Second, all in favor? Aye.